Was there something that jumped out at you that you've been waiting to hear discussed, you've been waiting to hear talked about? Who won the debate about the border tonight?
I think that Trump was actually thinking versus Kamala kept speaking over him.
I would side with Kamala Harris because she is a woman.
Who, if either one, would you want as your president? We're going to find out which candidate voters feel won tonight's debate, and was there anything Donald Trump or Kamala Harris said that changed voters' minds? First off, I'm interested in whether or not you thought tonight's debate was facilitated in a fair fashion, or whether you thought it was facilitated in a biased fashion. If you thought the debate tonight was moderated fairly, raise your hand. Raise it real high so the camera can get it. And okay, that looks like maybe about half of you. If you think it was not fair, raise your hand. Okay, so more than half of you did think it was moderated fairly. Some of you did not think so. Who wants to tell me why you think it was not moderated fairly? Somebody raise your hand that wants to tell me why. Stand up, if you will, in the back in the suit. Okay. Need a mic over here quickly. Where are my guys? You guys stay in the aisles here. I don't care if you're on camera or not. Stay close. Okay, say your first name and tell me why you think it was not moderated fairly.
First name is Vance. I don't feel it was moderated. I felt she kind of cut him off. Felt like multiple times there was just people cutting people off, specifically her.
Okay, that Kamala Harris was...
Yeah, they would just be like cutting off and didn't give him enough time to respond or her enough time to respond. I just felt there was a lot of cutoff.
Okay. Well, now I don't want to cut you off, so I think it would be unfair. All right, good. Who else has an opinion about this? Anybody else that thinks it was not fair tonight? Okay, stand up, and we'll bring a mic right to you. Go. Say your first name.
My name is Michael. I feel like Donald Trump was just cutting off Kamala and really just wouldn't even look at her or give her any respect at all to talk. And I feel like if that was me to be up there, I would want that same respect. And I just feel like he didn't give it to her.
All right, and how about the moderators? Do you think they were being even-handed with both candidates?
I feel like they were being even, but at the same time, I feel like Trump was cutting them off a lot and just going over time, just trying to get his point out. And yeah, I just feel like he wasn't being very respectful at all.
Okay, how many of you agree with what was your name?
Michael.
Michael. How many of you agree with what Michael is saying, that he wasn't being respectful? Okay. How many of you think that matters, whether he was being respectful or not? Okay.
Very much.
Maybe a third of you. Okay. All right. Who else has a comment on the fairness of what went on tonight? Stand up. Microphone. Say your first name.
My name is Daniel. I actually think that it wasn't fair for the exact opposite reason. I think that Trump was actually thinking versus Kamala kept speaking over him in the alternate light. So.
Okay. And how about the moderators? Do you think they were being fair?
I don't, just because I feel like Trump kept getting asked harder questions versus Kamala kind of got thrown softballs, easier to answer.
Okay. How many of you agree with that aspect? Oh, wow. That's almost everybody. Well, not everybody, but 75% of you. Okay. All right, good. Now, let me ask you this. If there was something that was talked about tonight that you think was really important to you, there were a lot of topics talked about tonight. Was there something that jumped out at you that you've been waiting to hear discussed, you've been waiting to hear talked about, that really resonated with you? What was it? Stand up, we'll bring you a microphone. Say your first name.
Hi guys, my name is Koa. And I think that one of the main things that really stood out to me that was talked about tonight was abortion and women's health care. And honestly, the thing that jumped out to me the most was when former President Donald Trump mentioned that women will carry their babies all the way to term and then choose to execute their babies. That really stood out to me. It felt a little bit uneducated and a little bit biased. But I think that honestly, on this topic specifically, I would side with Kamala Harris because she is a woman and she knows what it's like to have that health care restricted. And it's really scary for me. If I'm in a position where I need that emergency health care, I have to go all the way to New Mexico to go get that with the risk of being arrested, you know?
Okay. How many of you think abortion was a really big issue tonight and should be? Okay, raise your hand. Okay. Did you tend to side with Kamala Harris, or if you tended to side with Kamala Harris, raise your hand. Okay, if you tended to decide with former President Trump, raise your hand. Okay, so you kind of evenly split on that, but you agree it was an important issue. Okay, now, if there was another issue that jumped out at you, what was it? Yes, ma'am. Stand up right there, second row.
Hi, my name is Kemi. An issue that was really important to me that was brought up was Donald Trump allegedly dividing the country by race. I think that was not handled very well because, you know, something that he did say that was a big issue was him saying, oh, Obama wasn't born here, oh, Kamala isn't black. But now he's saying, well, I don't care what she is. So it feels very ingenuine, especially when race has been a big issue because of Donald Trump and his opinion and his policies on migration and immigration, and a lot of minorities have been affected negatively because of how he feels. So for him to just dismiss the topic like it's not important, like it's not something that he has repeatedly fed into, he could have done way better.
Okay. You're talking about several different things there. One being the border and immigration, right? Was that a big issue tonight? Raise your hand if the border's a big issue. Okay. Who won the debate about the border tonight? If you think that Kamala Harris had the strongest position on the border tonight, raise your hand. 4 of you. Well, if you think President Trump had the strongest position on the border, raise your hand. Okay, now some of you didn't raise your hand. So you're not sure? Those that didn't raise your hand? Or did I not ask the question right? You stand up. Say. Let's get you a mic.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I think that nobody won the debate on the border tonight because when Trump was asked about the border, he kept going around that question and addressing other things. And with Kamala, she asked, she brought up a policy, about bringing more Border Patrol agents to the border and talking about how Donald Trump killed the bill, and she asked him to address that, and he wouldn't address it. So I feel like both of them were avoiding giving a specific and a direct, clear answer on the border, and it just kind of, it wasn't really. That's why I said I don't think anybody won the, Yeah. So.
Well, you listened very carefully.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you listened very carefully about that. Thank you for that comment. Now, do you think it's important that we have a secure border? Does everybody agree with that? Do you think we have a secure border? Okay, does everybody agree that we don't have a secure border? Because that seemed like a kind of a uniform no. If you agree we don't have a secure border right now, raise your hand. Okay, everybody, pretty much, not everybody, but almost everybody thinks we need more security on the border. Okay. The responses that you got tonight, did the candidates' responses as a whole, I'm not talking about any one in particular, did their responses taken as a whole shape, solidify, or change your perception of their leadership abilities? In watching how they behaved, how they responded, the strength of their answers, the coherence of their answers, the way they were able to stand their ground, express themselves, move back and forth, who, if either one, would you want as your president? Did either one of them move your position like, I'm going to have somebody out there fighting for me or representing us. I think I'd rather have him or her. Did either one of them move your position? If either one of them moved your position, raise your hand. Okay, who moved your position?
Hi, my name is Christina, and I didn't think it would, but Vice President Harris moved my position. She came across as presidential, the way that she held herself, the way she spoke.
All right, who agrees that Vice President Harris moved your position towards her based on the way she handled herself tonight? Raise your hand really high. Okay, so that's like 10, 12 of you. All right, how many of you say that Donald Trump, the way he conducted himself, moved your position and said, if I'm going to have somebody out front as a leader, I would like it to be him that moved my position in that direction? Raise your hand high. Okay, kind of about the same number. What did you not hear that you were wanting to hear tonight? Stand up, we'll bring you a microphone, and if you want to say something, stand up so they can find you next. Say your name and go.
Hello, my name is Jarek, and what I didn't hear, just to give a little quick summary, I'm prior military, and I was in for 7 years. I just got out, and when I first joined, the country was not as divided as this, and so seeing the country where it's at now and seeing the division and the back and forth between candidates, I didn't hear enough of how we're going to unite. I feel as though, as being military, that the state of the country, the division, is in a way, it's like a backhand. It's like a slap in the face, because first and foremost, for me, it's not about left or right. It's about protecting the country. It's about serving the country. And so it just, to me, it's not enough talk about uniting as a country. We already have adversaries that are already watching us. And if we're divided, it doesn't help us at all, whatever side you're on. And so, one day I want to have a family. That's about it. I want to make sure I have a family in a place where the country is in a good state. I don't want to be in a country where we're always feeling as though there's tension and we may not be here for, as long.
You proud of being in the military?
Yes, sir, I am.
You proud to fight for this country?
Yes, sir.
People say thank you for your service like good morning. I really mean when I say thank you for your service, because I know you go out there and put yourself in harm's way for the rest of us so we can have freedom and the things that define this country. And, I hear people apologize for this country a lot and talk about what's wrong with this country, and we've got issues. We do. There's no question about it. But I love this country. I do. I stand up when the flag goes by. I put my hand over my heart when they play the national anthem, and I'm proud to be an American. I really am. And I thank you. When I say I thank you for your service, I mean it. And I hear you saying you want to hear people talking about coming together instead of, carping at each other. And, I'm a little bit older than you. I've been bald since I was 12, but I'm older than you. But there was a time in this country where people could really disagree, and then when that meeting or debate was over, they could say, let's go have a sandwich and talk about things. They didn't have to hate each other or assassinate each other's character because they disagreed about even important things. And we really do need to get back to that. And I agree with you. That's something I wanted to hear. And that is, look, we can disagree about policies and issues, but, after 9/11, the president had a 94% approval rating because on 9/12, everybody was an American. On 9/12, we were all Americans. We weren't Republican, Democrat, we were all Americans. And I just pray to God that something like that doesn't have to happen again before we're all Americans again. And we need to require that from our leaders. We need to require them to behave and start acting like adults. And if we do that as voters, you know what? They'll start behaving that way when they know that we require that. And this room is full of independents. They need every one of you. They need every one of your votes to win this election. And if you let them know that that's what you expect, then they'll start showing it. They'll start delivering. They'll start behaving themselves. So thank you for saying that. You had a comment. Right here.
My name is Steve. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. First of all, I think I came up with 4 points that weren't addressed in the debate. First of all, being the deficit as it continues to grow and grow and grow. What are their plans to address, if any? The homeless.
While you've been talking, it's gone up more than all of us combined will make in our lifetimes just while you've been talking. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, they talked about the inflation rate, but yeah, that impacts the deficit as well. Homelessness, we really didn't hear much talk about that, and as we live in these large cities, we see the homeless population continue to go up, in my opinion, exponentially over the last couple of decades. Any plans to remedy that situation? There are a couple others, but I forgot them, sorry.
Well, but you named some very good ones, some important ones that are very thoughtful. Let me ask you this. How many of you are bothered by the fact that Trump has been prosecuted as both a criminal and civilly? If that bothers you, raise your hand. If you say, no, that's just lawfare, they're just after him for their own reasons, raise your hand. Okay, so some of you it bothers, some of you it doesn't. If you think it's politically motivated, raise your hand. Okay, so most of you think it's politically motivated. So why does it bother you if you think it's politically motivated? Yes, ma'am, in the back. Stand up, we'll bring you a microphone. You said that means it's not true? Okay, the comment up here was it doesn't mean it's not true, then it's politically motivated. Stand up, say your name.
My name is Marilyn. I'm standing.
Oh, okay.
I'm short, sorry. It bothers me that it's politically motivated because our country was founded on equal justice under the law. And when Trump faced cases where the time limit had expired, cases that were changed from misdemeanors to felonies, that's not right. And then when Biden was actually proven guilty of having documents in his home that he wasn't legally allowed to have because he had been a senator and vice president and not a president, but they let him off. They said, well, he can't stand trial. That really bothers me because we need it to be equal, and there's people in this room that I know have not gotten a fair break on a court hearing, and it didn't have anything to do with them really doing anything wrong.
People in this room?
I bet.
Oh, really? Who?
I bet.
I'm just kidding. In my defense, these are chairs and those are stools. That's why it didn't look like you were standing up. Not that I needed a fence. Okay. All right, now, let me ask you this. This debate, which was really hyped as being a big thing, did this under-deliver or did it deliver? Did this actually mean something to you? In the back, stand up.
Hi, my name is Shelley. I'm also standing, so. I think, I came into this with an open mind. I really, really wanted Vice President Harris to hit it out of the park. I don't think she did. I think she did better than some people expected her to. The cackle was not there. I kept waiting for it, and it didn't come. But I still didn't get answers. I didn't get answers to fundamental questions that we need to know as voters. And we just keep getting circled around that.
Like what? What did you not get an answer to?
Her economic plans. What is an opportunity economy? What does that mean? Who's paying for the tax cuts that she's proposing? Because in my opinion, giving people down payment assistance on houses just drives inflation up higher. Who's paying for all of these child tax credits? That's just the taxpayers coming out of pocket and hurting the middle class again. So I don't think that we got to the meat and potatoes of the things that really matter. And we know from Donald Trump's presidency before, he can fix the economy. So I was really looking for her to make an impact on my thought process tonight, and she didn't deliver that.
All right, how many of you agree that you heard kind of buzzwords, but not real substance tonight? Raise your hand. Okay, raise it real high, because they're going to watch this. Really, they're going to watch this. They're going to say, Dr. Phil had a bunch of independents down there and asked some meaningful questions. They're going to watch this. I want to see that you all say, we heard buzzwords, we heard names of bills, but we didn't hear any substance. Let me ask you this. You said when they talk about we're going to get people down payments for homes, we're going to get child care. When you hear things like student loan forgiveness, even if you're one with a student loan, I had one young man on the show that paid $945 a month for 10 years and owed more than he started with. Honest to God, I wanted to pay it off for him. I felt terrible. It was for cooking school. Hell, I can cook. But nonetheless, there is no loan forgiveness. God will forgive you, but you still got to pay the loan. Somebody's got to pay that, right? When you hear about that sort of thing, does it impact you that somebody's got to pay this? That even if it's a worthwhile thing, you may still say, I'm willing to do it, but you're aware somebody's got to pay it, right? Yes, stand up. This will be our final comment here.
My name is Deidre.
Deidre.
I've been a social worker for over 25 years. Funded bachelor's with the help of my parents, master's by student loans. I paid those student loans from 2000 to 2023, and my balance was greater than when I started. I applied, I worked for nonprofits, I had the opportunity to work with families, with children, with seniors, with adults who have experienced significant issues in their life and needed support. And so it was a privilege of mine to serve those. The Biden administration put forth I believe, the manpower into the public service loan forgiveness program to really look at who already qualified.
Right.
And in 2024, my balance was forgiven, which meant even though I had paid more than my borrowed amount plus interest, and I still had a greater balance, they said, we're done. You're done. Go forward. And so now I'm able to consider the opportunities ahead of me without the weight of that balance that I've been paying on for 23 and a half years that should have been paid for.
Yeah, and you've been giving back along the way through the work you've been doing.
It's been an absolute pleasure to do so.
Well, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're out of time. This has really been informative to me, and I promise you these candidates are going to watch this. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you at home for watching. If you didn't catch all of this, go to the Merit app, and you can watch it there. Special thanks to Greg Hartley and Scott Rouse. We appreciate you being here. Good night.